Special greetings to you all. Now, happy Thanksgiving goes out to our American friends. It's an opportunity reminder, not just for them, but for all of us. It's never, shouldn't be a special day just to say thanks. We should always be giving thanks. Give thanks to the world around you for sharing itself with you. Give thanks to your God, whoever your God happens to be, for enshrining in you a spiritual essence seeking itself in the people in the world around you. Give thanks to your prosperity because we all prosper as we engage in the productivity of enterprise, of occupation, of passion, of contribution. Give thanks to your parents, whether they are here or not, whether you got along or not, for their passion for life joined with God to give life to you and to the lessons and opportunities you have. Give thanks to your spouse for sharing the journey to greatness together. In fact, maybe give the most thanks to your spouse. Give thanks to your children for teaching you what you needed to learn, that love is the key. And give thanks to your pets, the unspoken saviors of unconditionality, understanding, comfort, companionship, kindness, loyalty, love. Give thanks to life itself for your ability to experience the true wonders of creation and to be a part of everything that ever was, is, and will be. And I'd like to thank you all for allowing me into your lives, your time, your space, your holiness. It's an honor that I treasure and am ever grateful for. And thank you, Harvey, for your comments and wishes. And I am certainly trying to get the videos back up and posted as soon as possible. And a special thank you, Bob, for your kind words on the music. So let's all take a few extra seconds now and be thankful for something we often take for granted, our health. And let's send out some energy to help heal those in need of healing and renewal. Send goodwill, love, peace, and thanks. It's such an easy thing to do, to transmit energy, goodwill, and forgiveness and thanks to all that you know and need. Think of those in need. Call out healing for them. For Andrea, for Melissa, for Cassie. We pray for your health and well-being. And thank you for being a part of so many lives. Me. Sheberech Avoteinu Makor HaBracha Limoteinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach, let us all, everywhere, have our spirits renewed. Well, friends, last week we took a journey to a mountain and observed several life-defining moments. This week we say goodbye to the matriarch we hardly knew, Chayei, Sara, Sarah's life. And we learned nothing about it. She was married to Abraham and to two kings and gave birth quite late in life to Isaac. We know little else, and we do not actually need to know more. Sarah. Sara, sweet virgin angel, sweet love of my life. Sara, Sara, radiant jewel, mystical wife. This is the story, a continuing story, my friends, our story of love, of passion, of happiness, of completion. Now, last week ended with Abraham's willingness, strange willingness to sacrifice his son. And while the angel says, "Now I know you fear the Lord," it's not really from fear, but from love that all of our actions truly stem. As we're told later in the Shema, the most sacred of Jewish prayers and the ode to monotheistic belief. You will love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Love, not fear. Now, we may respond and act more from fear throughout our lives. It's how we've been ruled in society. But that's all about control and to avoid consequences for disobedience, not to fulfill desire for the world and everyone and everything to live in harmony, in unity and peace. That comes from love, not fear. And friends, we actually keep seeking and respond better to love, not to fear. Now this Parsha, Sarah's life, it's not really about Sarah or her life. It really turns out to be about Rebecca, the true heir of the patriarchs and the director of the dynasty to come, and her love for Isaac, and her example of the enduring power and majesty of love, and how she fills Sarah's role. So while it is called Sarah's life, we begin with her death. And we're told that after her death, Acharei Mot, Abraham grieves and purchases a tomb, the famous cave of Machpelah, which we'll read about many times, which goes to establish his rights to Hebron, which also will come into play much later in the Torah. And to some is surprise and to others not. We then have an entire section of the story told out of sequence, but you don't know it's out of sequence, as we read about Abraham remarrying to Keturah, who perhaps was actually Hagar. Maybe she was the true love of his life. After all, Sarah was a sister, and custom might have dictated that he had to marry her. It would depend on his origins and just who he was. Don't forget that when talking to Abimelech, Abraham said, Genesis 20:12, and also she is in fact my sister, my father's daughter, but not my mother's daughter, and she became a wife to me. Now, we do not talk much about it. Our sages sometimes work to justify things that don't seem right or fair. We seek reasons why they're okay, and it has been suggested and accepted that Sarah was Abraham's true wife, and therefore Hagar was not a legitimate wife, and Ishmael not really entitled to firstborn rights, even though the biblical Hebrew actually calls Hagar Abraham's wife, not his first wife, but his wife. Remember, friends, this Parsha is about love. And don't forget, we're dealing with a group of people who had multiple wives. But it is about love. And maybe that's why it's out of sequence. So who was Abraham's true love? Sarah or Keturah? Assuming Keturah and Hagar are one and the same. Now, some rabbinic authorities support that Keturah is Hagar, and many, probably far more, reject it. I personally think it would be fascinating and exciting if it were that she was Hagar. And maybe that tells us that in the long run, true love survives all, conquers all. Now, we're also presented with the first of what becomes known as the betrothal rituals, which we'll see enacted again and again, and each time with life-altering consequences. But they're the same. They contain the same elements. They contain travel to a foreign land, an encounter there with the future bride, usually at a well, drawing water, hurrying or running to bring the news of the stranger's arrival. There's a feast at which a betrothal agreement is concluded. As I said, they're pretty well the same. The Jacob-Rachel episode and the Moses-Zipporah one are the ones that are the most familiar and the ones that you will read the most about. This version, however, is the most elaborate and leisurely of the betrothal-type scenes. It's rich in detail, full of repetition. It's also the only version in which the bridegroom himself is not present, but rather a surrogate, and in which the young woman, not the man, draws the water. And that points to something else. That points to her, showing that she is the true force in the relationship. She is truly the next patriarch. If one takes patriarch, not in a sexual sense, but in a head of family sense, she becomes the true pater familias. She is considered the next matriarch, but she truly is. more than anything, far more than Isaac, the next patriarch. And it comes about as a result of a deathbed vow. Again, pointing to this story being completely out of sequence. When Abraham sends his servant to find a wife for Isaac, it's because he's dying. And it's not without generating its own controversy. See, he sends him to his home. Genesis 24:4. You'll go to my land and my birthplace and take a wife for my son, Isaac. Where does the servant go? He goes to Haran, not Ur. So much for Abraham of Ur. That's why we have all this added controversy. And from this betrothal ritual that takes place, a modern marriage ritual was born, the bedeket, the veiling of the bride. As this prayer is said, that comes from Genesis 24:60. And they blessed Rebekah and said to her, "You're our sister. Become thousands of 10,000s. And may your seed possess the gate of his enemies." Now, at this point in a modern ceremony, the bride is veiled because Rebekah veils herself before meeting Isaac. Now, Isaac is someone we learn very little about. His most defining moment in his life came not from an action of his, but from an action done to him by his father. And we learn that he lived at the well Laharoi. He lives at the place where Hagar was told by an angel that she would give birth to Ishmael, Isaac's brother. Ishmael, throughout this entire sequence, remains significant in the background. And it's as if Isaac recognized that his miraculous birth and his being spared from sacrifice have given him everything that otherwise would actually have been Ishmael's. Hey, we'd been told in Genesis 25:5, and Abraham gave everything that he had to Isaac. Now, it's interesting because actually this had been reported much earlier in the story by the servant who, when talking to Laban, explaining his mission, said that Abraham had given his son all that he had. Again, it's just further evidence that this entire part is out of sequence. So you may be asking yourself, hey, what happened to the right of the firstborn? Which will play such a huge role in the weeks and centuries ahead. And failing that, just what about sharing? What about at least making sure that each child received a fair share? It's not even discussed. And after being stiffed for his inheritance, Ishmael comes to bury his father. He comes to his brother to bury his father, driven away. All of his rights as firstborn given to his brother. And he comes together to bury his father. Now, this was someone who certainly understood the forgiveness mechanism. So what does this say of Ishmael? As we will see again shortly with Esau. And Esau, who's portrayed to be this horrible being, is instead quite forgiving and loving. Well, sometimes things are not what they appear. But as I said, this Parsha isn't about those things. It is about true love. Now, in Hebrew, a match between a man and a woman is called a shidduch. Finding a shidduch for someone else is considered to be a great mitzvah. It is a responsibility that the entire Jewish community takes seriously. Just ask your mother. After all, the future of the nation depends upon successful matches. And nobody can do a better job than your mother. Now, everybody remembers the matchmaker from the movie Fiddler on the Roof. It's probably one of everybody's favorite parts. It may involve a special talent, but it's not a field reserved exclusively for professionals. Everyone in a community is supposed to be keeping their eye out for all potential matches. It's such a serious duty, my friends, that even the great rabbis are known for keeping notes concerning potential mates for the purpose of making matches. Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find. Catch me a catch. Matchmaker, matchmaker, look through your book and make me a perfect match. Now, perfect match. It may be true that opposites attract, but a successful match depends upon mutual compatibility. A good matchmaker takes into account personality, disposition, character, as well as watching for similar family backgrounds, values, social and economic standing. It's not an easy job, but it's an important one, and someone's got to do it. The responsibility of making matches is so important and so difficult that the rabbis claim that God himself or herself, pardon me, has been occupied with the matter ever since creation. And maybe that explains why we're in the shape we're in, because God is so busy making matches. But above all, my friends, there must be love. Matchmaker. Matchmaker. I'll bring the veil. You bring the groom. Slender and pale. Bring me your ring, for I'm to be the envy of all I see. Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Now, the world is sacred, and so is everything in it. Express your gratitude, light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life, the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom, be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light. All who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, and end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together. We celebrate each other. We love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. Let us send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, good healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive, learn to love. Open your hearts and honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. When's the last time you did that? Open your hearts. Honor the people you have. Enjoy the journey. We take the twists and turns and the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our effort to grow, to learn, to be, to love. So please do love. Send healing, goodwill, and love to all who need it. Share your holiness. And like I say, friends, if you open your hearts, you will accomplish all of those things. Now, bless you all. Have a fantastic week, a week of love and light, a week of peace and healing. For you to honor the people of your life and honor the journey you were on and honor yourselves. Friends, keep your eyes open to what you may not be seeing. Keep your ears open and listen to the world around you. And remember, this is an organic book. The lessons, the laws, the ethics, the ritual change with the time. It's how it stays current, relevant, new, meaningful, and continues to provide us all with insight and with answers. Remember, we set in motion all that happens in our lives. Our intention, our cause, our effect, everything is linked together. As I've said, it was of time to forgive and to be forgiven. You do have that knowledge of what is good and bad. So acknowledge of what you have done wrong to yourself, to God, and to any person you may have wronged. And then ask forgiveness. It's such an easy thing to do, to simply ask forgiveness. And we all can be forgiven, and we all can forgive. Now, don't stop your journey. Keep moving forward to your promised land. It is in sight. Keep on dreaming, keep on being, keep sharing. Keep shining, keep teaching, keep spreading your holiness. Do not follow fear. Follow love. Find love. It's the most important thing in your life. Share your life with the love of your life. And grow old along with me. The best is yet to be. When our time has come, we will be as one. God bless our love. God bless our love. God bless our love. Love is the key to everything. Do not look back, my friends. Have faith and unwavering adherence to principle. And I have faith in the principle of love and of all of you. Now, thank you for joining me, for participating, for sharing your lives, your love, your time with me. I love you all. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Be well. Until then, Shabbat Shalom. Blessings to you all. Take care.